today. And this is a project that we've been working on with a local nonprofit organization called Tipping Point. Tipping Point focuses on fighting poverty in the Bay Area. They've partnered with us on this recent project to address the imbalanced financial burden of parking violations on low-income drivers. So the general idea going in is that these short payment deadlines compounded by really extreme late fees lead to these kind of vicious cycles of low-income drivers getting a ticket, not being able to pay it within a single paycheck, doubling their amount due with late fees, and sometimes even getting their car booted and not being able to get to work to make more money. So with that, we set out to help Tipping Point utilize Spotfire DS as their tool to make a quantitative argument to the city. So from my homepage here in Spotfire DS, I can see my widgets of all of my recent and most notable workspaces that I've worked on in the past. These have all of the information of recent insights, work files, and any comments and collaboration that have been going on in the past week. So from here, I can navigate directly to my Tipping Point workspace. Now within my project, I can review my activity stream of events and collaboration among my team members. So Stephen, Michael O'Connell, Chayi, and myself have worked on this over the past month, DJ as well. And we've also invited in our business owner, Ashley Brown. She's a data analyst for Tipping Point. And we wanted her to be able to collaborate through the web-based Spotfire DS framework. And she's really helped connect us to the context and the information that we need to really kick off this project and have a strong baseline of information to go from. So she set us up to connect to a few key data sets with parking violation information. These are millions of violations recorded over the past several years with a full set of variables like violation type and amount paid, outstanding, neighborhood, and that list goes on. At the end of all of this, the Tipping Point project drove the business to act in the form of this letter to the San Francisco Office of Financial Injustice. So this was a report of our findings to help drive the city to change. Additionally, we made a Spotfire analysis to help visualize the story behind our data and our findings. So I'll come back to this in a little bit. Within the rest of my work files, there's really a wide range of workflows for data exploration, data cleansing, modeling, all collaborated on with our team over the past couple of months. And this 5.3 match zip code citation is just one example where we're taking our core file that Ashley provided us and doing some normalizing and cleansing to make sure that the street addresses and zip codes are formatted correctly for the rest of the analysis. For today's demo, I want to focus on one particular workflow that has a few different interesting tangents that we've visualized later on in the process. So I'll just go through a few of these today. We can start with citations by zip code. So by reviewing these citations grouped by the zip code, we hoped to find a difference in financial burden in low-income geographic areas compared to wealthy areas in the city. So we created this workflow to aggregate our data by zip code, join that to information like the number of available parking spots or how many registered businesses are in those areas. And of course, that's very easy in the Spotfire DS workflow here. Everything is drag and drop with no code required, just clicking through to select the group by information, what type of aggregation that we would like to pass forward. And the same with our join conditions. No code or SQL needed here, just defining with drop downs our join conditions and left or right join and our pass through columns here. Then we can go through and just look at some baseline metrics some correlations or even a regression to better understand the data in this context of zip code. So next we wanted to explore citations by car make to see if there were any discrepancies among financial burden of parking violations there. And specifically, we wanted to look at delinquency rates. So this relates to the amount of money unpaid and outstanding, including late fees, and how often that is occurring between this slice of data by car make. And we found that some car makes that may be associated with lower income urban areas were actually seeing significantly higher delinquency rates. So these were makes like Buick and Plymouth and Pontiac, which really led us to drill in deeper to see if we could find any interesting correlations with vehicle age, which is another component that we'll get into a bit later. So finally, we circled back to the geographic context, but we wanted to work with something that was more fine-grained than zip code. So we overlaid our data with this San Francisco neighborhood information. They're called center lines. And to do that, we had to use a series of complex joins on quite large data sets, so about 3 million rows, 2 or 3 million rows coming in here, and using our joins to utilize inequality conditions. So really doing some heavy lifting with these joins, taking advantage of our in-database processing for all of our analytics and getting that scale that we need to achieve this. Then we can do some quick sanity checks to make sure that cars aren't assigned to more than one neighborhood. Looks like we have some duplication here that we'll need to filter and take count of. So getting rid of those duplicates. And then finally going through and, for the purpose of exploration, sampling down to get a file that we can use directly in Spotfire. So this is the operator that I mentioned in the PowerPoint slide that we're going to be releasing in this upcoming 6.3.2 release of Spotfire DS. Export to SPDF lets you choose your output file name, some options around version control here, and this will convert the tabular data set that is coming out of your analysis and move that over to the SPDF format where it can be directly consumed from Spotfire. Coming back out, now I want to take a look at where this all leads to. Navigating to my Spotfire analysis, this is where we've built these findings into a visual story. So this map here, as it loads up, is showing the neighborhood data that I mentioned with those center lines, and uses income data to represent the color scale. So cost of living, I guess I should say, with the downtown areas and along the water being quite expensive, and further down the peninsula becoming more affordable. Citations by car, this is where we really start drilling into the car age, as I mentioned. So with the blue color being newer cars, gray being sort of a mid-range, and our orange is our focus area on this dashboard with cars older than 20 years. And we can see that the number of cars on the road, there's about 6% of cars on the road are in this old car category. About 6% of citations and citation amounts are coming from these old cars. But when we look at amount due, which is showing effectively delinquency and overpaid or underpaid tickets, these expected values are doubled of what we would have thought for the old cars, showing that highly skewed delinquency rate. We can also drill a little deeper using Spotfire and the data that we had pulled in from Spotfire DS to use additional variables such as ticket type for meter or street cleaner or plates and registration. and compare this and see across the board that the effective cost of tickets is higher for older cars than for newer cars. Again, showing that late fees being assessed are really impacting how people need to pay for these tickets. Along the bottom charts here, we've actually compared this and put it in the context of the average minimum wage in San Francisco, and seeing that when we're looking at unpaid ticket amounts greater than 1 to 2 weeks of a minimum wage paid week, that delinquency is much, much higher in older cars than it is new or mid-range cars. So to conclude the visual story, we've summarized just a few key points here on the side, and again highlighted our memorandum to the Office of Financial Injustice. And I just want to say this project has been really rewarding to work on with Tipping Point. It's been a lot of fun and great to see the impact that they've made in the city. But it's also a fantastic example of leveraging big data analytics in Spotfire data science, and then integrating with Spotfire to provide the powerful visual analytics.